First of all, the FAA in United States has a dual function, aviation attorney Arthur Rosenberg told NewsPulse finances the first trade. It certifies airplanes, it's responsible for safety of flight, and it also has an economic interest in air transportation. Meanwhile, Boeing on the other side is purely an economic interest, Rosenberg continued. I think that the economics were playing behind the scene, lost revenue to Boeing if they had to ground this. Rosenberg highlighted a Jefferies note that puts early estimates of the grounding at around $5 billion, around 5% of its revenue. Melius Research puts that estimate at around $1 billion in permanent costs and several billion in timing-related costs. There is a conflict of interest, and has been, former FAA Operations Inspector Bill McNeese told NewsPulse Finance. I actually testified before a congressional committee back in 2007 about the conflict between the FAA and different operators. Furthermore, airplane aficionado and former owner of the now-defunct Trump shuttle is president. And President Trump has a personal relationship with Boeing CEO Dennis Muilenburg. Muilenburg donated $1 million to Trump's inaugural committee, visited Trump's Mar-a-Lago club in December 2016, and promised to build new Air Force One planes for less than $4 billion as Trump demanded. I hope it's going to be for a short period of time, Trump told reporters on Thursday when asked about the grounding. The biggest thing is, they have to find out what it is. I'm not sure that they know, but I thought we had to do it, we had to take a cautionary route. The FAA grounded all Boeing 737 MAX 8s on Wednesday, a move that came after rising pressure on the agency after airlines around the world did the same. Rosenberg that there was another big incentive for Boeing to pressure the FAA to not ground the planes, Boeing's fear of losing market share. Foreign carriers have less of an interest, they're less tied in, said Rosenberg, referring to other aviation authorities grounding the Boeing plane across the world. They were competitors abroad. Rosenberg explained that major European competitor Airbus had their own version of the 737, the A320, and the Chinese were also becoming a formidable rival, with their own new plane coming to market to compete with the 737 MAX 8 and 9. This then created a strong incentive for Boeing to keep its 737 MAX 8s, which were used by numerous carriers from Air Canada to Air China, running at regular speed, he argued, and that economics were clearly playing in the background. In the administration of former celebrity businessman Donald Trump, the confluence of business interests and politics is messier than ever. The Trump administration and Congress have significant interests to businesses from tobacco to technology, as lobbyists donate to political campaigns and pour money into super PACs supporting various candidates. In December, Trump named Patrick Shanahan, who served 31 years at Boeing managing the 787 Dreamliner passenger jet, as his acting defense secretary. Another potential gray area is the issue of airworthiness certifications. Former National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, Chief Jim Hall told NewsPulse Finance that one of the ways that private interest has encroached into air safety was because of a special law that allows Boeing to self-police itself. In other words, because of a rule instituted in 2005 by the FAA, airline manufacturers can select their own employees who would determine whether the aircraft is safe or airworthy, Hall explained. There should be a congressional hearing to look at the certification process, said Hall. The information and effective responsibility has tilted from the FAA to Boeing as a result of this change. This has been a long-standing situation, Cox told NewsPulse Finance. These are very specifically trained, designated individuals with great expertise are allowed to ensure compliance and conformity for the FAA and submit reports to the FAA. Cox continued, there is still oversight and these designated representatives are checked and requalified on a regular basis. Although they may work for Boeing, their responsibility is that of the FAA. Hall's other critiques of the FAA touched on the fact that the FAA has no permanent leadership, at present only an acting administrator, and that the FAA severely lacked the funding to run efficiently. Another wrinkle to the issue is that a WSJ report in February suggested that the government shutdown between December and January may have delayed a fix for the 737 MAX 8s software issue. After the Lion Air crash in October 2018, according to the report, unnamed U.S. officials who looked at the findings disagreed with Boeing over a fix regarding the plane's flight control feature. The disagreements were reportedly over technical and engineering issues and how extensive the fix should be, they explained, which was suspended for 5 weeks because of the shutdown. The FAA, however, dismissed these claims in a press conference late Wednesday. In any case, the longest ever shutdown in history had consequences in terms of safety. The NTSB told NewsPulse Finance that while it did some of its investigative work despite having its workforce furloughed because of the shutdown, which includes the Lion Air crash, it failed to prevent several others. 97 accidents that the NTSB was unable to investigate due to employees being furloughed, to include the following that now require investigative action, an NTSB spokesperson told NewsPulse Finance. Furthermore, investigators were unable to respond to major accidents. What that means post-shutdown is that we missed prevention opportunities. Arthi is a writer for NewsPulse Finance. Follow her on Twitter at @arthiswummy. Follow NewsPulse Finance on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Flipboard, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Reddit.